Welcome to the Social Bee podcast with your host, Louise Brogan. Every week, Louise will be bringing you a podcast all about women entrepreneurs, talking about their challenges, their goals, and inspiring you to either start your own business or grow the business you have. Visit www.socialbni.com to join our community and pick up some lovely freebies to start marketing your business online today.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Social Bee podcast. Today I'm delighted to have Catherine of the Delicate VA business on with me as my guest. Catherine has been working as a virtual assistant. So for those of you who don't know what a VA is, Catherine is going to explain to us. But Catherine's been working as a VA for almost 4 years now, having left a previous life working in corporate. So welcome to the podcast, Catherine.
Hi Louise, thanks for having me.
I'm delighted. And we were saying before we started recording that actually we've been kind of in the same online space for a little while now, but we've never actually met in person. So it's really nice, I think, to communicate and meet people.
Absolutely. But I did say earlier as well, I felt like I'd already met you because I've watched a few of your webinars and I've listened to your podcasts and it's like, well, I already know you. So why are we saying hello?
Perfect. So Catherine, for people listening, could you tell us a little bit about your business and what your products and services are, please?
Yeah, sure. So I'll round up what a virtual assistant is for people that don't yet know. So a virtual assistant, we're freelance admin, social media, and some of us also do marketing support for businesses. Mm-hmm. It's an alternative, as any freelancer is, to having an employee. So if you've got things in your business that you either don't enjoy or find that are just taking too much of your time, or things that you know that somebody else could do a lot quicker, then those are the tasks that you can usually outsource to a virtual assistant. So for me, I do bookkeeping, research, general admin, social media, and that also includes MailChimp as well. So I write and set up newsletters and bits and pieces. So newsletters primarily is one of my biggest pulls at the moment because it takes so much thinking time for the business owner to think about the content, what they're going to write, to analyse the stats and to keep promoting their newsletters and things like that. So that's often a good thing for people to start outsourcing.
That's really interesting. So you actually write newsletters for your customers?
Yes, yeah. I get inside so it does help if the clients have got some content already, they fully know who their audience are and they know what the aim of the newsletter is. Yeah. So whether it's to sell or to promote their business in other ways, I've got one client that every so often she wants to promote a discovery calls. So we put those in the newsletters from time to time. Mm-hmm. So it's about putting those together and making them catchy so that they open.
So do you have background in writing then? To be able to offer that service? Well,
no, it's more of I've always worked in marketing and media departments. Mm-hmm. I've been a PA and I've also been an admin manager. So I've always been good with writing and engaging content. And I also read a lot as well. So I'm always up on what's working and what isn't. But with anything, it can be trial and error as well, can't it? But once you know your audience, it's not too difficult to get them to listen to you.
So when you started out as a virtual assistant, if we go back in time a little bit to what was your last job and how did you decide that you wanted to make a break for freedom?
Yeah, and boy, was it a great break for freedom. Well, I still feel like I'm running out those gates and like, my last job, I was a PA for some directors at a government organisation. Mm-hmm. You can see who that was on LinkedIn if anybody's interested. But, so I, very, very briefly, I had neurosurgery in 2012.
Oh, wow.
Radiotherapy in 2014. And that was because of a tumour on my pituitary gland, which is, people that don't know, because I didn't know, I couldn't even spell it for a year or so. It's a little pea-sized gland at the bottom of our brain that got all of our hormones in. So although it's the size of a pea, it's actually one of our major glands and a huge part of our existence. So mine is now virtually gone because of the radiotherapy, which means I've got something called Addison's disease. And I have tablets that keep me alive every day. So I get very tired, and I have quite a few hospital appointments from time to time. And as I lose more and more hormones, different things happen. So being able to manage my own time and be away from any kind of stress was so important to me. But I'd always liked organising people. I loved being a PA. I loved, putting new processes in place to make things easier and more efficient. And I guess there's a little bit of bossiness in me as well. There always is, isn't there? So I wanted to continue what I was doing, but I didn't want to go part-time because I wanted to enjoy life as well and have holidays and what have you. So I actually thought I'd come up with the idea of virtual assistant. I thought I was onto something big. I'd invented it, and I was going to be a millionaire overnight because I'd come up with this idea. But then when I Googled it, I realised I wasn't the first, far from it. So, but it was...
Catherine, I have to say, I'm just going to pause you there a second. It's not something that people know about, because when I do my workshops here in Northern Ireland to small business owners, I say, have you ever thought of hiring a VA? And people look really blankly at me. So it's still something that's really, I think, relatively new here in the UK.
Do you know, that's really good and really important, because I guess because I'm talking about it all the time, I do think people still know. So that's really good for me. I need to keep promoting my blog post, what is a VA, definitely. So there's also a chapter in my book about what is a VA, even though it's aimed at VAs, because I forget that people do still ask. So long story short, I thought, right, I'm going to have a go, see if I can do this business malarkey. And I worked hard, and it's been a success as far as I consider to be a success. Yeah, it's working amazingly for me. I do thoroughly enjoy it. While everybody had that go back to work feeling at the beginning of January, I was like, yeah, go on, off you go, because I want to get the laptop back out.
Oh my God, it's so similar.
It's amazing, isn't it? It is.
Yeah. I'm like, I over Christmas, I thought, Louise, you need to like take a break. You need to take a break. And I was like, I don't want to take a break.
Yeah.
I did take a break, and I was talking to somebody else this morning who, well, we'll talk about the summit in a little while, but another guest expert coming on my online summit, Jackie, was saying that when you take a break like that, when you work for yourself, it's actually quite hard to kind of get back up to the level you were at before you kind of stopped work. I said, I feel like one of those little wind-up cars, like you have to wind me up a little bit more, because, I'm doing little bits every day, but I'm definitely nowhere back up to speed as I was before Christmas. But it's been really lovely having a proper break.
Yeah, it has, yeah. And the business didn't collapse by turning my phone off.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
It's really interesting what you said about your tumour, because my mum had a tumour on the back of her head there, and she is on thyroxine tablets.
In
a very similar place.
She's got a thyroid problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So luckily hers was benign as well. She had surgery the year when I was doing my master's, so it was 2000. It was literally during the summer term exams.
Wow.
Yeah, but thank goodness she's fine as well. So
that's fantastic. Yeah.
Scary biscuits. So you mentioned your book. So tell us.
Oh, did I slip that in?
Well, I have noticed that you seem to slip it in quite a bit on your posts on social media, which I love. I'm like, yeah, why not? Get it in there, Catherine. Get that book sold.
Yeah, I got a few to shift. I ordered another lot before Christmas.
Brilliant. And we'll have a link to it at the end for everybody.
No, okay.
Absolutely. But I'm such an admirer of women who are running a business and also have found time to write a book. I mean, I'm really impressed. So I want to know about the book, but I also want to know, for everyone listening and for me, how did you find time to write a book while working on your business?
Well, yeah, so the book is titled How to Be a Virtual Assistant, and it's for anybody that's looking to start and run their own VA business. It covers what they need to, so the mindset and what they need to get in place to be able to start and run that business. It took me 3 months to write it. It was a case of really just waking up and deciding, I'm going to write a book. And I don't know why. I can't remember why. I do have memory problems sometimes, so I cannot remember why I decided to write it.
You were inspired.
I was, yeah. And I think part of me, I'm joking, but the main thing I wanted to do was to let other people know that work doesn't have to be awful. When I was struggling with working full time, I used to give myself like a kick, as if to say, do you know what? Man up, because you're not the only one that's not enjoying going to work every day. We have to do it. You've got to wait for retirement. But you actually don't. And I feel that I can prove that because I've done it. And that's why I wanted to put it into a book for other people like me to be able to do that as well, for anybody that's just not getting out of life what they want because work is just not giving them that time or pleasure that they rightly deserve, because life is a little bit short, isn't it, at times? So
it makes me think of the butterfly story. I don't know if you know this story. It's actually a story they tell kids whenever a parent gets diagnosed with cancer. But it's a strange analogy maybe to use, but we're all caterpillars. We're all doing our day-to-day life being caterpillar. But once you go from being a caterpillar into a butterfly, you can't go back and tell the caterpillars how amazing it is to be a butterfly. So it's a way of processing death. I think it's, I don't know if it's Macmillan Cancer or cancer research that do this with children, but explaining to children that once, mummy or daddy or granny or granddad has passed on, that they are in a happy place, but they can't come back and tell you that they're happy. So the children are little caterpillars, and we're all caterpillars. And then there's the butterflies who are having, it's just a different way of being. Yeah. It's kind of like that, I think,
because we often can't share life experiences. Sometimes we've moved on so much that we forget what information we need to impart. Like you said at the beginning of our interview here, that it's, reminding people what a VA is. I can easily forget that there are people that still don't know what a VA is.
Yeah.
So having that opportunity to share something that could potentially change somebody's life for the better is a nice opportunity. But I've got a client that is a book coach, and she's written a book on how to write a book.
Brilliant.
So that was invaluable. I wouldn't have
have to get her on the podcast.
I think you will. But also what's good as well is I've since written an online course as well, and I used the same process for that. She just breaks it down, and it's like, okay, so between you and me, it was well easy once I knew that. So, but I still like to pretend that, being an author is very, very hard.
That's really interesting, because I can create an online course literally in a weekend. I find it really simple, and because I've done so many. And at the minute, we're coming to the end of my beta group testing for how to create an online course. Yeah. And it was maybe it is exactly the same way. I literally looked at what do I want to teach? And here's the main topics, and what do I want to teach in those topics, and break it down. And then, I'm creating as I go. So I'm about to do week 5, which is how to market or how to get your course out there. So I'm going to do webinars and 3-part series. And there's another section I can't remember from looking at it. But I literally brain dumped it all out, and then I could just go, now I know I have to create the section on webinars. So maybe it's the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Get your chapters. Yeah, that's what I did. I started with the chapters that I wanted, and of course that can change as the book evolves. But yeah, it just came together. It made it so easy. Whereas if you sit there and think, I'm going to write a book, it's like, where do I start?
Yeah,
I'll just keep drawing the front cover.
Brilliant. And do you do, because I've heard about people who do self-publishing, and then you do is it published to order or something on Amazon, that Amazon would print them as people order them or something?
Fulfillment. Amazon fulfillment, yeah. Okay. So I self-publish. So I've got all of my books here because, again, my book coach said that it's not always the best way to do Amazon fulfillment. The quality is not always the best. And also you don't get to see who's actually bought the book. So, yeah. So because people have to come through me to buy the book, I get to see everybody that buys it, and then I can ask them for a review and what have you, and I can keep in touch with them. So I didn't do Amazon fulfillment. And another reason is, hopefully Amazon won't listen to this, but they're a swine to get hold of. If you've got a problem and it doesn't fit their generic list of questions and answers, you're stuffed, you're blocked.
Well, that's how it is with a lot of the big software giants, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
We include them in the same boat. I'm working with, the role I have for Facebook, the She Means Business Trader, means that I have access to people in Facebook inside 2 different groups. One for Facebook community owners called